Imagine spending thousands on a luxury cruise vacation, only to be slapped with a $500 fine on day 2. Or worse, kicked off at the next port with no refund. These 21 mistakes have ruined countless vacations, and number 7 will absolutely shock you.
Welcome back to the channel. If you're planning a cruise vacation, you're in for an incredible experience. But here's what most first-time cruisers don't realize. Cruise ships have strict rules and regulations that, if broken, can result in hefty fines, being confined to your cabin, or even being kicked off the ship at the next port with absolutely no refund. Before we dive in, if you find this information helpful, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss future travel tips that could save you thousands. All right, let's count down the 21 dangerous cruise mistakes you absolutely must avoid.
Mistake number 21. Bringing prohibited electrical appliances. Let's start with something that catches tons of passengers off guard: electrical appliances. You might think packing your coffee maker, hot plate, or clothing iron is smart planning, but cruise lines strictly prohibit these items. And here's why. These appliances pose serious fire hazards. Cruise ships are essentially floating cities with thousands of people in a confined space. A single electrical fire can be catastrophic at sea. Every year, small fires caused by banned appliances lead to evacuations, injuries, and sometimes even emergency port calls. What's banned? Coffee makers, kettles, hot plates, toasters, rice cookers, clothing irons, steamers with heating elements, immersion heaters, and even candle warmers. Basically, if it heats up and plugs in, leave it at home. Security will find these during the mandatory screening process. Your luggage goes through X-ray machines just like at the airport. If they spot a banned appliance, they'll confiscate it and you won't get it back. Some cruise lines will hold it for you to collect at the end of the voyage, but many will simply dispose of it. The fine for trying to sneak one of these past security can be up to $250. And if you're caught using one in your cabin after smuggling it aboard, that's grounds for immediate disembarkation. Pro tip: most cruise ships have self-service launderettes with irons available. Many also offer pressing services. And coffee? There's 24/7 coffee available all over the ship. You really don't need to bring your own appliances.
Mistake number 20. Ignoring the muster drill. This one seems harmless, but it's actually a legal requirement, and cruise lines take it incredibly seriously. The muster drill, also known as the safety drill or lifeboat drill, is the mandatory safety briefing that happens before the ship leaves port. Here's what happens. You'll receive a specific time and location to report to your muster station. This is usually on your first day aboard, before the ship sets sail. You'll learn about emergency procedures, where your life jackets are located, how to put them on, and where to go in case of an emergency. Now, many passengers think, "I've been on a cruise before, I know the drill," or "I'm tired from traveling, I'll skip it." Huge mistake. As of 2020, international maritime law requires every single passenger to participate in a muster drill before the ship can leave port. No exceptions. If you don't show up, here's what happens. The ship's crew will track you down. Your key card is scanned at the muster station, so they know exactly who's missing. They'll call your cabin, send someone to find you, and delay the departure if necessary. You'll be publicly paged over the ship's intercom system, which is embarrassing. The consequences? Fines, ranging from $200 to $500 per person. Some cruise lines will confine you to your cabin for the first 24 hours. In extreme cases of repeated noncompliance or aggressive refusal, they can deny you boarding entirely or remove you at the next port. Why so strict? This is about life and death. Remember the Costa Concordia disaster in 2012? 32 people died, partly because passengers weren't properly trained in emergency procedures. Cruise lines learned from that tragedy. The drill only takes about 30 to 45 minutes. Just go. It's non-negotiable and could literally save your life.
Mistake number 19. Bringing CBD products or marijuana. Even if you have a medical prescription, even if it's legal in your home state or country, do not bring any form of marijuana or CBD products on a cruise ship. This is one of the fastest ways to get yourself in serious legal trouble. Here's the reality. Cruise ships operate under maritime law and must comply with federal regulations, as well as the laws of every country they visit. In the United States, marijuana remains illegal under federal law, regardless of state legalization. And many Caribbean, Mexican, and international ports have even stricter drug laws than the U.S. CBD products, even those with zero THC, fall into a gray area that most cruise lines simply ban entirely. They don't want to deal with the complexity of testing THC levels or verifying the legality of specific products. What happens if you're caught? First, security will find it during screening. They have drug-sniffing dogs, and your luggage goes through X-ray scanners. If they discover marijuana, THC products, CBD oils, edibles, vape pens, or anything cannabis-related, you will be denied boarding immediately. No refund. Your vacation is over before it starts. If somehow you get it past initial screening and you're caught with it during the cruise, the consequences are even worse. The ship's security will confiscate it, and depending on which waters you're in, they may hand you over to local law enforcement at the next port. This could mean arrest, prosecution, and even jail time in a foreign country. There are documented cases of passengers being arrested in Bermuda, the Bahamas, and Grand Cayman for possession of amounts that would be considered minor in the U.S. Foreign drug laws don't care about your medical prescription from California. Is your CBD oil worth risking your freedom and thousands of dollars? Leave it at home. If you need it for medical reasons, talk to your doctor about alternatives for the duration of your cruise.
Mistake number 18. Bringing your own alcohol in prohibited quantities. Alcohol policies are where cruise lines draw a hard line, and for good reason. They make a significant portion of their revenue from drink sales. But the rules around bringing your own alcohol are complex and easy to violate accidentally. Here's the standard policy across most major cruise lines. You're typically allowed to bring a limited amount of wine or champagne on embarkation day only. Usually this is 1 or 2 750 milliliter bottles per person of legal drinking age. Some cruise lines allow this, others don't. You need to check your specific cruise line's policy. What you absolutely cannot bring: hard liquor, beer, spirits in any quantity, boxed wine, large bottles, or excessive amounts of wine. You also can't bring alcohol purchased at port stops back to your cabin. It will be confiscated and held until the last day of the cruise. People get creative trying to smuggle alcohol aboard. Passengers have tried rum runners, plastic flask bags hidden in luggage, shampoo bottles filled with vodka, wine bottles refilled with liquor, mouthwash bottles, even filling wine bottles through the pork with a syringe. Trust me, security has seen it all. They know every trick. They use high-tech X-ray machines that can detect liquid density. They can tell the difference between water and alcohol. They look for suspicious packaging, and if they think something looks off, they'll open your luggage and check. What happens if you're caught? First offense, the alcohol is confiscated. You might get it back on the last day, but often you won't. Second offense, you'll face fines ranging from $200 to $500. Third offense, or blatant smuggling attempts, you can be disembarked at the next port with no refund. There's also a corkage fee if you bring allowed wine to dinner, usually $15 to $25 per bottle. Just factor this into your budget. Here's the thing. Cruise drink packages can be expensive, but they're still cheaper than getting kicked off the ship. If you want to drink affordably, look into purchasing a beverage package before you board. Many cruise lines offer early booking discounts that make these packages more reasonable. The risk simply isn't worth it. I've heard stories of families losing $8,000+ cruises over $40 worth of smuggled liquor. Don't be that person.
Mistake number 17. Hanging things from your cabin balcony or door. This seems so innocent, right? You want to decorate your cabin door with magnets and signs so your group can find your room easily. Or maybe you want to hang your wet swimsuit on the balcony railing to dry. Totally harmless, right? Wrong. Let's start with balconies. Hanging anything over or from your balcony railing, towels, swimsuits, flags, banners, decorations, is strictly prohibited and can result in serious consequences. Why? Safety and aesthetics. Items can blow off into the ocean, which is littering and harmful to marine life. They can blow onto lower balconies or into the ship's mechanical systems. Hanging items also violate maritime safety regulations and can make emergency evacuations difficult. More seriously, hanging things from balconies can be seen as a security risk. After incidents where passengers have accidentally fallen overboard while leaning over railings or climbing on balcony furniture, cruise lines are hyper-vigilant about any behavior that might encourage unsafe balcony use. If you're caught hanging items from your balcony, you'll first receive a warning and the items will be removed. A second violation can result in a fine of $250 or more. Repeated violations or refusal to comply can result in your balcony being locked for the remainder of the cruise, or in serious cases, disembarkment. Now let's talk about cabin door decorations. Most cruise lines allow and even encourage door decorations. It creates a fun atmosphere and helps people find their cabins. But there are rules. Allowed: magnets, lightweight magnetic signs, dry erase markers on whiteboards, fish extenders for Disney cruises, and removable decorations that don't damage surfaces. Not allowed: tape, glue, nails, screws, anything that leaves residue or damage, offensive decorations, anything that blocks the door from closing properly, anything that obscures the cabin number or safety information, and anything deemed a fire hazard. The issue is that cabin doors are fire-rated and part of the ship's safety system. Anything that compromises the door's integrity or blocks emergency access is prohibited. Also, cruise lines have to pay for damage to doors, and that cost gets passed to passengers who cause it. If you violate door decoration policies, you'll be asked to remove the items. Refusal or repeated violations can result in fines up to $150 and having your door completely cleared by ship staff. Damage to the door from prohibited decorations will be charged to your onboard account, typically $100 to $500 depending on the damage. Pro tip: bring magnetic hooks for inside your cabin to hang wet swimsuits in the bathroom. They dry quickly with the bathroom fan running. And stick to magnetic decorations for your door. They're fun, allowed, and damage-free.
Mistake number 16. Being intoxicated and disorderly. We're all on vacation, and yes, part of the fun of the cruise is enjoying drinks by the pool or dinner. But there's a line between having fun and becoming a liability, and crossing that line can end your cruise immediately. Cruise lines have zero tolerance for passengers who become intoxicated to the point of being disorderly, aggressive, or a danger to themselves or others. This is one of the most common reasons passengers get kicked off cruises, and it happens way more often than you'd think. What constitutes disorderly? Being belligerent with crew or other passengers, causing disturbances late at night, fighting, yelling, or aggressive behavior, being unable to walk or stand safely, vomiting in public areas, or requiring medical attention due to alcohol poisoning. Every cruise ship has security personnel, and they're trained to handle intoxicated passengers. If you're causing a problem, here's what happens. First, security will intervene and try to de-escalate. If you're just drunk but not aggressive, they might escort you to your cabin and tell you to sleep it off. However, if you're combative, refusing to comply, or repeatedly causing issues, they'll confine you to your cabin. A security guard may be posted outside your door. You'll be restricted from leaving except for emergencies, and you'll stay confined until the ship reaches the next port. At that port, you'll be escorted off the ship and handed over to local authorities if laws were broken. At minimum, you'll be permanently removed from the cruise with no refund. You're also responsible for your own travel arrangements to get home, which can cost thousands. There are real cases of passengers being arrested for assault, destruction of property, and public intoxication in foreign ports. These charges are prosecuted under local laws, and you could face jail time in a foreign country. Beyond legal consequences, cruise lines maintain internal no-sail lists. If you're kicked off for behavioral issues, you'll likely be banned from that cruise line permanently. Some lines share information, meaning you could be banned from multiple companies. Fines for alcohol-related misconduct start at $250 for minor incidents and can exceed $1,000 for serious violations. Plus, if you damage property while intoxicated, breaking furniture, damaging your cabin, destroying ship property, you'll be billed for all repairs and replacements. Here's a real story. A man on a Carnival cruise got extremely drunk, became aggressive with security, and tried to fight other passengers. He was confined to his cabin, removed at the next port in Jamaica, arrested for disorderly conduct, spent 3 days in a Jamaican jail, and was banned from Carnival for life. His $3,500 cruise turned into a $10,000 plus nightmare. Here's the bottom line. Enjoy your vacation, have some drinks, but know your limits. Pace yourself, drink water between alcoholic beverages, eat food, and be respectful. The moment you become someone else's problem, your cruise is over.
Mistake number 15, missing the ship at a port of call. This one is entirely on you. When the ship docks at a port, you're given a specific all-aboard time, which is typically 30 minutes to an hour before departure. If you're not back on that ship when it leaves, you're on your own, and it's going to cost you big time. Cruise lines are crystal clear about this. The ship will not wait for you. They have tight schedules, port fees, and the next destination to reach. Unless there's a ship-sponsored excursion that's running late, in which case the ship will wait, they will leave without you. This happens more often than you'd think. Passengers lose track of time shopping, misjudge how long it takes to get back to the port, encounter traffic, or simply mix up the departure time. Some get too confident and cut it close intentionally. What happens when you miss the ship? First, you'll need to contact the cruise line immediately. They'll tell you which port the ship is heading to next and give you information on how to rejoin it. But here's the kicker. All costs are 100% your responsibility. You'll need to arrange and pay for transportation to the next port, which might be hundreds of miles away or even in another country, potentially a hotel stay if it's overnight, meals during your unplanned stay, potentially a flight if the next port is far away, visa or immigration fees for the countries you're passing through, and in some cases, a tender boat to get back onto the ship if it's anchored offshore at the next port. The costs can easily run $1,000 to $3,000 or more, depending on the location and distance. If you're in a remote port or a foreign country where you don't speak the language, this becomes even more complicated and expensive. Cruise lines take attendance. They scan your key card every time you get on and off the ship, so they know exactly who's missing. If the ship has to delay departure because they're trying to locate you, and you do make it back at the last second, you can be fined $500 or more for delaying the departure. There are documented cases of passengers chartering small planes and boats to catch up to cruise ships.
One couple in the Caribbean spent $4,500 on a small charter flight and boat transfer to rejoin their ship after missing it in Belize. Insurance often doesn't cover this. Most travel insurance policies specifically exclude passenger delays or situations caused by your own error. Always read the fine print. How to avoid this? Set your watch to ship time. Always be back at least 30 minutes before the all-aboard time. Book ship-sponsored excursions. The ship waits for these. Set multiple alarms on your phone and keep your phone on airplane mode with manual time to avoid automatic time zone changes that might confuse you. Don't push your luck. That extra 10 minutes of shopping isn't worth the thousands you'll spend catching up to the ship.
Mistake number 14. Throwing anything overboard. This is a big one, and it's shocking how many people don't realize this is illegal. Throwing anything, and I mean anything, overboard from a cruise ship is not only against ship rules, it's a violation of international maritime law and can result in massive fines and criminal charges. We're talking about everything: trash, cigarette butts, food scraps, plastic bottles, paper, biodegradable items, coins for wishes, wreaths or flowers for memorials, even ice or water. Nothing goes overboard. Why is this so serious? Environmental protection. The ocean is not a garbage dump. Cruise ships travel through protected marine environments, and pollution in these areas is heavily regulated by international treaties like MARPOL, the Maritime Pollution Convention. Plastic and trash kill marine life. Sea turtles mistake plastic bags for jellyfish. Seabirds ingest small plastic pieces. Even items you think are biodegradable, like orange peels or apple cores, can harm ecosystems when dumped in large quantities in sensitive areas. What happens if you're caught? Cruise ships have security cameras everywhere, including on decks and balconies. If you're seen throwing something overboard, security will review the footage, identify you, and you'll be confronted. First offense, a warning and a fine of $500 to $1,000. Second offense, a larger fine of $1,000 to $2,500 and potential confinement to your cabin. Serious or repeat violations, disembarkment at the next port, being reported to maritime authorities, and potential criminal charges. In U.S. waters, the penalty for dumping trash or waste overboard can include federal fines up to $250,000 per violation and criminal prosecution. The cruise line itself can be fined millions if passengers are found to be dumping waste, so they take this incredibly seriously. There are real cases. A passenger on a Royal Caribbean cruise threw a plastic bottle overboard in 2018 and was caught on camera. He was fined $1,500, confined to his cabin for the final 2 days, and banned from the cruise line. Another passenger threw cigarette butts off his balcony repeatedly and was fined $2,500 and disembarked. Even throwing organic materials is prohibited. You might think tossing bread to seagulls is harmless, but it's not. It disrupts marine ecosystems, attracts pests, and is illegal in many protected areas. Ash scattering from cremated remains is a separate issue with specific regulations. You must get permission from the cruise line in advance. It can only be done in certain areas, and there's a specific legal process. You cannot just scatter ashes on your own. The rule is, if you have trash, use the trash cans. They're everywhere on the ship. If you're on your balcony and want to dispose of something, bring it back inside to a trash can. It's that simple. The ocean is not your personal trash can. Respect it or face serious consequences.
Mistake number 13. Refusing to cooperate with health screenings. After the COVID-19 pandemic, health screenings and protocols on cruise ships became much more stringent, and they're here to stay. But even before the pandemic, cruise lines had health screening procedures, especially during flu season or norovirus outbreaks.
Before boarding, and sometimes during the cruise, you may be required to undergo health screenings. These can include temperature checks, health questionnaires, rapid tests for contagious diseases, and wellness checks by medical staff. If you refuse to cooperate with these screenings, you will be denied boarding or removed from the ship immediately. There are no exceptions, no arguments, no negotiations. Why? Outbreaks of contagious illnesses on cruise ships can spread like wildfire. Norovirus, influenza, COVID-19, these can infect hundreds of passengers and crew within days in the close quarters of a ship. One sick person can ruin the cruise for everyone. Norovirus outbreaks are particularly common on cruises. Symptoms include severe vomiting, diarrhea, and stomach cramps. In bad outbreaks, entire ships had been quarantined, ports have refused to let ships dock, and cruises have been cut short. What happens if you refuse screening? At embarkation, you'll be denied boarding immediately with no refund. If you refuse during the cruise, you'll be isolated in your cabin, evaluated by medical staff, and if you're deemed a health risk, you'll be removed at the next port. If you're found to be sick with a contagious illness, you'll be quarantined in your cabin for the duration of the contagious period, typically 48 to 72 hours for norovirus. The ship's medical team will monitor you, bring meals to your cabin, and you'll be confined until you're no longer contagious. There's no refund for time lost to quarantine. If you're sick for 3 days of a 7-day cruise, that's just bad luck. Travel insurance may cover some costs if you purchased a policy that includes illness coverage, but it varies. Fines for refusing to cooperate with health protocols range from $500 to $1,000. In extreme cases where your refusal endangers others, you can be disembarked and banned. Here's a real story. During a 2019 norovirus outbreak on a Carnival cruise, a passenger refused to cooperate with quarantine after showing symptoms. He left his cabin and went to public areas. He was immediately confined by security, removed at the next port, and banned from Carnival permanently. The ship had to undergo deep cleaning, and over 200 passengers got sick. Here's the bottom line. If you're feeling sick before or during your cruise, do the right thing. Report it, cooperate with medical staff, and accept quarantine if necessary. It's not just about you, it's about protecting thousands of other passengers and crew. Health screenings are quick and non-invasive. Just cooperate. Your vacation depends on it.
Mistake number 12. Ignoring the dress code. This one might seem superficial, but ignoring dress codes on a cruise can actually get you denied entry to certain venues, asked to leave restaurants, and in some cases, fined or reprimanded by ship staff. Most cruise ships have specific dress codes for different times and venues. During the day, casual attire is fine almost everywhere. But evenings, especially formal nights and in main dining rooms, have stricter requirements. Typical dress code categories are casual, during the day and at buffets. Acceptable, shorts, t-shirts, sundresses, and sandals. Not acceptable, swimwear outside pool areas, bare feet, offensive clothing. Smart casual, evening dress in main dining rooms on most nights. Acceptable, slacks and collared shirts for men, dresses or nice pants for women, closed-toe shoes. Not acceptable, shorts, tank tops, flip-flops, baseball caps, or torn clothing. Formal or elegant. Formal nights, usually 1 to 2 per cruise. Acceptable, suits or tuxedos for men, cocktail dresses or gowns for women. Not acceptable, jeans, shorts, casual shoes, casual shirts. What happens if you violate the dress code? If you show up to the main dining room on formal night in shorts and a tank top, you will be politely turned away. You'll be told to change and can return once you're appropriately dressed, or you'll be directed to the buffet or casual dining areas. If you refuse or become argumentative, security will be called. You can be escorted back to your cabin and receive a warning. Repeated violations or refusing to comply can result in fines of $100 to $250 and being banned from certain venues for the rest of the cruise. Now, some people say, I paid for this cruise, I'll wear what I want. That attitude doesn't fly. When you booked, you agreed to the cruise line's terms and conditions, which include dress codes. The ship can enforce these rules. Why do cruise lines care? It's about maintaining a certain atmosphere and experience. Many passengers specifically look forward to formal nights as a special, elegant experience. If half the dining room is in tank tops and flip-flops, it diminishes that experience for everyone. Specialty restaurants often have stricter dress codes. Steakhouses, French restaurants, and upscale venues typically require at least smart casual, sometimes formal attire. These are clearly posted at the entrance and in the cruise literature. There's also safety-related dress code enforcement. You cannot be barefoot or in just swimwear in elevators, indoor venues, or non-pool areas. This is a health and safety issue. If you're spotted, staff will ask you to return to your cabin and change. Some cruise lines are more relaxed, contemporary lines like Carnival, while others are stricter, luxury lines like Cunard or Princess. Check your specific cruise line's dress code policy before packing. Pro tip: if you don't have or don't want to pack formal attire, many cruise ships offer tuxedo rentals for men. You can also just skip formal night and eat at the buffet or casual venues. There's no requirement to attend, but if you do attend formal dining, you must dress appropriately. Pack at least one formal outfit and a couple of smart casual outfits. It's a small effort that ensures you can enjoy all the ship has to offer without any issues.
Mistake number 11. Smoking in non-designated areas. This is one of the most frequently violated rules on cruise ships, and it comes with serious consequences. Smoking is only allowed in very specific designated areas on cruise ships, and lighting up anywhere else can result in heavy fines or removal from the ship. Why so strict? Fire safety. Cruise ships are incredibly vulnerable to fires. Thousands of people in a metal structure in the middle of the ocean with limited firefighting resources. A single cigarette, cigar, or vaping device can start a fire that endangers everyone on board. Where can you smoke? Designated outdoor smoking areas, usually on certain sections of open decks, specific areas of the casino on some ships, and sometimes in designated cigar lounges. Every ship has specific smoking areas clearly marked in ship maps and signage. Where can you not smoke? Your cabin, including balconies, all indoor public areas, all dining venues, theaters and entertainment venues, elevators, hallways, non-designated outdoor areas, and near any flammable materials. Balconies are specifically prohibited because cigarettes can be blown onto lower balconies or into open windows, starting fires. There have been actual fires caused by cigarettes on balconies. Vaping is treated the same as smoking. You cannot vape in your cabin or non-designated areas. Many passengers mistakenly think vaping is allowed everywhere because it doesn't produce smoke. Wrong. It's treated exactly the same as cigarettes. What happens if you're caught smoking in prohibited areas? First offense, a warning and a fine of $250. Second offense, a fine of $500 and a written warning. Third offense, disembarkation at the next port with no refund and a lifetime ban from the cruise line. The ship has smoke detectors everywhere, including in cabins and on balconies. If you smoke in your cabin, the detector will alert ship security immediately. They will come to your cabin, verify the violation, and assess the fine. If you tried to tamper with or cover smoke detectors, that's an even more serious offense. Tampering with safety equipment can result in immediate fines of $1,000 or more and disembarkation. There are real cases. A passenger on a Norwegian cruise was caught smoking on his balcony 3 times. After the first two $250 fines, he did it again. He was disembarked in Cozumel, Mexico, lost the remaining 4 days of his cruise, and was banned from Norwegian permanently.
Another passenger on a Royal Caribbean cruise tried to cover the smoke detector in his cabin with a plastic bag so he could smoke inside. The tampering triggered an alert, security responded, and he was fined $1,000 and confined to his cabin for 24 hours. If you're a smoker, here's what you need to do. Familiarize yourself with the ship's designated smoking areas on day one. There are usually several, and they're accessible. Go there every time you want to smoke. Don't risk it in your cabin or balcony. If you're struggling with nicotine cravings during times when you can't get to smoking areas, consider nicotine patches or gum for the duration of the cruise. Many smokers find these helpful. The bottom line? Follow the smoking rules strictly. The fines are real, the fire risk is real, and being kicked off a cruise for smoking in the wrong place is absolutely not worth it.
Mistake number 10. Bringing weapons or dangerous items. This should be obvious, but it still needs to be said. Weapons and dangerous items are absolutely prohibited on cruise ships, and attempting to bring them aboard will get you denied boarding or arrested with zero tolerance. Prohibited items include firearms of any kind, even with permits, ammunition, BB guns, air guns, replicas, toy guns that look real, knives with blades longer than 4 inches, pocket knives, Swiss Army knives, box cutters, martial arts weapons, swords, spears, bows and arrows, pepper spray, mace, tasers, stun guns, brass knuckles, clubs, bats, explosive materials, fireworks, flares, and any item that could be used as a weapon. Why the strict policy? Security and safety. Cruise ships operate under international maritime law, and weapons on board create massive liability and safety risks. Even licensed permit holders cannot bring firearms on cruises. What happens at security screening? All luggage goes through X-ray machines, similar to airports. Security is trained to spot weapons and dangerous items. If they see anything suspicious, they'll open and inspect your luggage. If a weapon or prohibited item is found, you will be denied boarding immediately, no exceptions. Security will confiscate the item, and you will not be allowed on the ship. You'll lose your entire cruise fare with no refund. In some cases, depending on the item and jurisdiction, you may be arrested and charged. Bringing firearms or illegal weapons to cruise terminals can result in criminal charges, especially in certain countries and ports. There are real cases. A passenger attempted to bring a handgun, for which he had a legal permit, onto a cruise departing from Florida. Security found it during screening. He was denied boarding, the gun was confiscated by port police, he was questioned, and he lost his $4,500 cruise with no refund. He argued that he had a concealed carry permit, but that doesn't matter. Cruise ships have zero tolerance.
Mistake number 9. Engaging in illegal gambling. Cruise ships have casinos, and gambling is a big part of the entertainment for many passengers. But there are strict rules around gambling, and breaking them can get you in serious trouble. First, age restrictions. You must be 21 years or older to gamble in the casino on most cruises departing from or operating in U.S. waters. On international cruises, the age may be 18 or 21, depending on the cruise line and itinerary. Attempting to gamble underage will get you kicked out of the casino, fined, and potentially disembarked. Underage gambling is taken very seriously. Security monitors the casino, and you will be ID'd. If you're caught gambling underage, your parents or guardians will be notified, you'll be fined up to $500, and depending on the severity, your family could be disembarked at the next port. Private gambling outside the casino is prohibited. You cannot set up poker games, dice games, or any form of gambling in your cabin, on decks, or in public areas. The casino has the monopoly on gambling aboard the ship, and this is strictly enforced. Why? Cruise lines make money from the casino, and they don't want competition. But more importantly, unregulated gambling can lead to disputes, fights, cheating, and other problems. If you're caught running a private gambling operation, your game will be shut down immediately. Any money on the table will be confiscated, and you'll face fines of $500 to $1,000. Repeated violations or large-scale operations can result in disembarkment. Cheating in the casino is a criminal offense. Cruise casinos operate under strict regulations and surveillance. If you're caught counting cards, using devices, colluding with other players, or any form of cheating, you will be banned from the casino, possibly arrested, and disembarked at the next port. Casino security is extremely sophisticated. There are cameras everywhere, staff are trained to spot cheating, and the ship's security works closely with casino management. Don't even think about it. There have been cases of passengers using card-counting teams, hidden devices, or other cheating methods. They were all caught, banned, and in some cases prosecuted. One passenger on a Carnival cruise was caught using a hidden phone app to calculate blackjack odds. He was banned from all Carnival casinos, fined $2,000, and escorted off the ship in Jamaica. Disputes over gambling debts are also problematic. If you lose money gambling and then try to dispute the charges on your onboard account, the cruise line will investigate. If they determine the charges are legitimate and you're refusing to pay, they can pursue legal action, ban you from future cruises, and in extreme cases, have you arrested for theft of services. What about sports betting? Some cruise ships now offer sports betting in their casinos, but it's highly regulated. You can only bet through the official ship's sportsbook, and all bets must comply with the applicable laws of the waters the ship is in. Here's the bottom line. If you want to gamble, use the ship's casino, follow all the rules, gamble responsibly within your budget, and never try to cheat or run private games. It's entertainment, not a money-making scheme. If gambling becomes a problem for you, cruise ships have responsible gaming programs and can help limit or exclude you from the casino. It's better to seek help than to lose control and ruin your vacation.
Mistake number 8. Overstaying your time in the sauna, hot tub, or pool. This one might seem weird, but it's a real issue. Many cruise ships have time limits and specific rules for using hot tubs, saunas, and certain pools, especially those in spa or adults-only areas. Violating these rules can result in being banned from the facilities or fined. Why the rules? Health and safety. Hot tubs and saunas can be dangerous if used improperly. Extended exposure to high heat can cause dehydration, heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and cardiovascular issues. Most cruise ships post time limits for saunas, usually 15 to 20 minutes max, and hot tubs, usually 30 minutes max. These are recommendations, but staff will enforce them if they see someone overdoing it or if the facilities are crowded. If you're monopolizing a hot tub or sauna for an extended period, especially during peak times, staff can ask you to exit and take a break. If you refuse, security can be called and you can be banned from spa facilities for the remainder of the cruise. There are also behavior rules. No glass containers near pools or hot tubs. They can break and cause injuries. No running on wet decks, slip hazard. No diving in pools. Most cruise ship pools are shallow. No pushing others into water. No excessive splashing. And no inappropriate behavior. Violations of pool and hot tub rules typically result in warnings first, but repeated violations or dangerous behavior can result in fines of $100 to $250 and being banned from using those facilities. Children-related rules are particularly strict. Many cruise ships have adults-only pools, hot tubs, and areas. If you bring your child into an adults-only area, you'll be asked to leave immediately. These areas are clearly marked and there's zero tolerance for violations. Parents who repeatedly bring children into adults-only zones can be fined $200 per incident. It's not about being unfair to families. There are plenty of family-friendly pools and areas. Adults-only zones exist because many adults want quiet, peaceful areas without children. There are also hygiene rules.
You must shower before entering hot tubs and pools. Many ships have signs requiring this. You must wear appropriate swimwear, no regular clothing, no underwear, no thong bikinis in family areas on some cruise lines. If you are visibly ill, have open wounds, skin infections, or diarrhea, you are prohibited from using pools and hot tubs. This is strictly enforced during norovirus outbreaks. Violating this can result in fines of $500 to $1,000 and cabin confinement. Why? Contaminated pool water can spread illness to dozens of passengers instantly. During norovirus outbreaks, pools and hot tubs are sometimes closed entirely to prevent spread. Alcohol is usually allowed in pool areas, but you must use plastic cups provided by the ship. Glass bottles are strictly prohibited. If you bring glass near the pool, staff will confiscate it immediately. Being drunk and disorderly in pool areas is treated like being drunk elsewhere on the ship. If you're intoxicated to the point of being unsafe or obnoxious, security will remove you and you can face fines or confinement. There's also a reservation system on some ships for certain pool areas, cabanas, or spa facilities. If you use these areas without a reservation or try to take someone else's reserved spot, you can be asked to leave and fined. Here's the bottom line. Follow posted rules, respect time limits, be considerate of others, keep kids out of adults-only areas, and maintain good hygiene. The pool and spa facilities are for everyone to enjoy, and your cooperation ensures a safe, pleasant experience. Mistake number 7. Attempting to open cabin doors or restricted areas. This is where things get serious. Attempting to open, tamper with, or enter cabin doors that aren't yours, or trying to access restricted crew-only areas can result in immediate disembarkment and even criminal charges. Every cruise ship has restricted areas clearly marked with signs like crew only, authorized personnel only, no passengers beyond this point, or similar. These include the bridge, engine rooms, crew quarters, kitchens, storage areas, mechanical spaces, and security areas. Why are these areas restricted? Safety and security. These are operational areas where untrained passengers could get injured, interfere with ship operations, or create security risks. If you're caught attempting to enter restricted areas, security will intercept you immediately. First offense, you'll be escorted out, your information will be documented, and you'll receive a stern warning. Second offense, a fine of $250 to $500 and a formal written warning. Third offense or aggressive attempts, disembark at the next port, and possible criminal charges for trespassing. Tampering with locked doors, using employee access cards if you somehow obtained one, or forcing your way into restricted areas is treated as a serious security breach. This can result in immediate disembarkment, arrest, and prosecution. Now let's talk about entering other passengers' cabins. Your key card only works for your assigned cabin. If you try to force open or tamper with another cabin's door, multiple things can happen. First, the door has security mechanisms that alert security if tampering is detected. Security will respond within minutes. If you're caught trying to break into or enter someone else's cabin, you'll be detained, questioned, and depending on intent, arrested. If it's determined you are attempting theft, assault, or any criminal activity, you'll be held in the ship's brig, yes, they have jail cells, handed over to authorities at the next port, and prosecuted under local and maritime law. You'll also be banned from the cruise line for life. Even innocent mistakes can be problems. If you're drunk and accidentally try to enter the wrong cabin thinking it's yours, you can still be questioned by security. If it happens repeatedly, you'll face fines and potential removal. Propping open fire doors or emergency exit doors is also prohibited. These doors are designed to compartmentalize the ship in case of fire. Propping them open violates fire safety regulations and can result in fines of $500 or more. There have been real cases. A passenger on a Royal Caribbean cruise tried to access the bridge multiple times, claiming he wanted to see the controls. After repeated warnings, he forced his way past a crew member. He was detained, confined to his cabin under guard, and disembarked in Puerto Rico, where he was arrested for trespassing and interference with navigation.
Another case involved a passenger who tried to enter crew quarters looking for a crew member he befriended. He was stopped by security, warned, but tried again later. He was fined $500 and confined to his cabin for 24 hours. If you're curious about behind-the-scenes areas, many cruise lines offer official behind-the-scenes tours that take you to the bridge, galley, engine rooms, and other areas safely and legally. These are great experiences and the right way to see restricted areas. Here's the bottom line. Stay in passenger-authorized areas. If a door is locked or marked as restricted, don't try to open it. Respect other passengers' cabin privacy. Violating these rules is a fast track to being kicked off the ship and facing legal consequences.
Mistake number 6, not supervising your children. Cruise ships are incredibly family-friendly, and kids love cruises. But parents who don't properly supervise their children can face serious consequences, including fines, being banned from facilities, and in severe cases, involvement of Child Protective Services. Cruise lines expect parents to supervise their children at all times, unless they're checked into supervised kids clubs. This means knowing where your kids are, ensuring they're not running wild, bothering other passengers, or getting into dangerous situations. Common violations: allowing young children to roam the ship unsupervised, letting kids run, yell, or play in adult areas, allowing children in hot tubs unsupervised, a drowning risk, letting kids monopolize public spaces or facilities, not controlling children in dining areas, running around, throwing food, and allowing children to disturb other passengers late at night. What happens? First, crew will approach you and ask you to control your children. If the behavior continues, you'll receive a formal warning. Continued problems can result in being banned from certain facilities, like pools, dining rooms, or entertainment venues, fines of $100 to $250 per incident, and in severe cases, disembarkment. There's zero tolerance for children being left alone in cabins, especially young children. If crew discovers an unattended child in a cabin, security will be notified, the parents will be tracked down, and Child Protective Services may be contacted when the ship reaches port. Leaving children alone in cabins violates maritime safety laws because children might not know how to respond in an emergency. If there's a fire, evacuation, or other emergency and your child is alone, they could be in serious danger. A real case? A couple on a Carnival cruise left their 8 and 10-year-old children alone in the cabin multiple nights while they went to the casino and nightclub. Another passenger reported hearing the children crying. Security investigated, found the children alone, and detained the parents when they returned. Child Protective Services was contacted at the next port, and the parents were investigated for neglect. Height and age restrictions at pools, water slides, and kids clubs exist for safety reasons. If you try to sneak your child into an area or activity they don't meet the requirements for, you'll be stopped, asked to leave, and potentially fined. Kids clubs are amazing, but there are check-in and check-out procedures. You can't just drop your child off and leave. You must properly check them in, and you must retrieve them at the designated time. If you're consistently late picking up your child, you can be banned from using kids club services. Running in hallways, on stairs, or on wet decks is dangerous and prohibited. If your children are repeatedly running and causing safety hazards, crew will speak to you. Continued violations can result in fines. Noise complaints are common. If your children are loud late at night and disturbing other passengers, you'll receive complaints and be asked to quiet them down. Repeated noise complaints can result in cabin relocation or fines. One of the most common issues is children in adults-only areas. Some cruise lines have adults-only pools, hot tubs, sun decks, and even entire sections of the ship. These are clearly marked. If you bring your child into these areas, you'll be asked to leave immediately, no exceptions. Repeated violations of adults-only areas can result in fines of $200 per incident and being banned from those areas entirely. Parents sometimes argue, my child is well behaved, but it doesn't matter. The rule is the rule. Here's the bottom line.
Cruises are wonderful for families, but you must supervise your children, teach them ship etiquette, respect rules and other passengers, use kids' clubs appropriately, and keep kids out of adults-only areas. Doing so ensures everyone, including your family, has a great vacation.
Mistake number 5. Not paying your onboard account. This seems basic, but it's shocking how many passengers don't realize that failing to settle your onboard account can prevent you from disembarking, result in legal action, and get you banned from cruising with that line again. Your onboard account is tied to your key card. Everything you purchase on the ship, drinks, spa services, shore excursions, specialty dining, photos, souvenirs, gratuities, internet packages, gets charged to this account. You settle this account with a credit card, debit card, or cash. The cruise line places holds on your card throughout the cruise and processes the final charge at the end. What happens if your payment method fails? The cruise line will notify you, usually by leaving a notice in your cabin or sending you to guest services. You'll be required to provide an alternative payment method immediately. If you ignore these notices and your account remains unpaid, several things happen. You'll be unable to make any more purchases on the ship. Your key card will be declined. You'll be called to guest services and asked to settle the account. Your ability to disembark at ports may be restricted, and on the final day, you will not be allowed to disembark until the account is paid in full. Yes, they can hold you on the ship. On disembarkation day, if your account is unpaid, your key card will flag you at the exit. Security will stop you and escort you to guest services to settle the balance. If you still can't pay, the cruise line can involve local authorities, pursue legal action for theft of services, ban you from future cruises, and in extreme cases have you arrested for fraud. Why so serious? You've consumed goods and services. You legally owe that money. It's no different than refusing to pay a restaurant bill or hotel charges. A real case. A passenger on a Norwegian cruise racked up $2,800 in onboard charges, mostly bar tabs and specialty dining. His credit card was declined multiple times. He ignored notices to visit guest services. On disembarkation day, he tried to leave without paying. Security stopped him, and he was held on the ship while Norwegian contacted local police. He was eventually charged with theft of services and banned from Norwegian for life. Another common issue is disputing charges. If you believe there are incorrect charges on your account, you need to address this with guest services before the final day. Review your account regularly. You can check it on in-cabin TVs or mobile apps. Waiting until disembarkation day to dispute charges will delay your exit and may not be resolved in time. The cruise line will require you to pay the full amount and then dispute it with your credit card company after the cruise. Gratuities, tips, are automatically added to your account. On most cruise lines, daily gratuities for service staff are mandatory and automatically charged. These are typically $12 to $16 per person per day. You can adjust or remove them by visiting guest services, but you must do so during the cruise, not after. Some passengers try to avoid paying gratuities by having them removed and then not tipping. This is legal, but highly frowned upon. Service staff work hard and rely on gratuities. If you received poor service, adjust the amount. But removing gratuities entirely without cause is considered poor etiquette. Cash on board accounts exist but are less common. If you're using cash instead of a card, you typically need to deposit a lump sum at the beginning of the cruise. As you make purchases, the balance is drawn down. If you run out of funds, you'll need to deposit more cash to continue making purchases. Prepaid gratuities and beverage packages help you budget. If you purchase these before the cruise, they're already paid for, reducing your final onboard account balance. Here's the bottom line. Monitor your onboard account regularly. Ensure your payment method works, address any disputes immediately, and settle your account before disembarkation day. Don't try to leave the ship with an unpaid balance. It won't work, and the consequences are severe.
Mistake number 4. Theft or damage to ship property. Stealing from the ship or damaging ship property is a criminal offense that will result in immediate disembarkment, arrest, prosecution, and lifetime bans. Yet it happens more than you'd think, often with passengers who don't realize the seriousness. What counts as theft? Taking towels, robes, hangers, dishes, glasses, silverware, linens, artwork, decorations, or any ship property to keep as souvenirs. taking items from other passengers' cabins or belongings, taking excessive amounts of food from buffets to hoard in your cabin, yes, this counts, failing to return items borrowed from the ship, like pool toys, beach equipment, or library books. Many passengers think it's just a towel, they have thousands, but it's still theft. Cruise lines track inventory, and items like towels and robes have RFID chips that trigger alarms when taken off the ship. If you're caught stealing, security will confront you, confiscate the items, and you'll be charged for them, often at inflated rates. A towel might cost the cruise line $5, but they'll charge you $50. A robe might cost $200. Beyond the charges, you'll face fines of $250 to $500, a formal incident report, and potential disembarkment. If the theft is significant or repeated, you can be arrested at the next port and prosecuted. A real case, a passenger on a Princess cruise stole multiple towels, robes, and even removed a small framed picture from the wall in a public area. Security reviewed camera footage, identified her, and confronted her in her cabin. They found the stolen items. She was charged $800 for the items, fined $500, and disembarked in Los Angeles. She was also banned from Princess Cruises for life. What about items you're allowed to take? Some cruise ships sell towels, robes, and other items in the gift shop. If you want to keep something, buy it. Also, some items like toiletries, shampoo, conditioner, soap provided in your cabin are meant to be taken. Those are yours. Damage to ship property is equally serious. Punching holes in walls, breaking furniture, damaging cabin fixtures, breaking dishes or glasses, graffiti or vandalism, and any intentional or reckless damage to the ship. If you damage ship property, you will be billed for repairs and replacement. This can be expensive. Breaking a cabin TV might cost you $1,000. Damaging a bathroom fixture could be $500. Putting holes in cabin walls can be $300 per hole for repair and repainting. If the damage is intentional or caused by intoxication or reckless behavior, you'll also face fines of $500 to $1,000 and potential disembarkment. Graffiti or vandalism anywhere on the ship is treated very seriously. If you're caught writing on, marking, scratching, or otherwise vandalizing any surface, you'll be fined $1,000 or more, charged for restoration, and disembarked immediately. Children causing damage is the parent's responsibility. If your child breaks something, you're liable for the cost. This is why supervising children is so important. Normal wear and tear is expected and not charged. If something in your cabin breaks due to normal use or a defect, report it to guest services or your cabin steward. They'll fix it or replace it at no charge. But trying to hide damage or not reporting it can result in charges. There have been cases of passengers damaging cabins during parties or arguments. One case involved a group of passengers who trashed their cabins during a late-night party. Broken furniture, holes in walls, food smeared everywhere. They were billed over $5,000 collectively, fined, disembarked at the next port, and banned. Here's the bottom line. Don't take or damage ship property. If you want a souvenir, buy one in the gift shop. If you accidentally break something, report it immediately. Theft and vandalism are crimes, and cruise lines prosecute them vigorously.
Mistake number 3. Engaging in illegal drug use. This is a zero-tolerance issue. Possession, use, or distribution of illegal drugs of a cruise ship will result in immediate arrest, disembarkment, prosecution, and lifetime bans. There are no warnings, no second chances. Illegal drugs include marijuana, even in states and countries where it's legal, cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, ecstasy or MDMA, LSD, psychedelics, synthetic drugs, unprescribed controlled substances, and any substance classified as illegal under federal or international law. Why zero tolerance? Cruise ships operate under federal and international maritime law. Even if you board in a state where marijuana is legal, once the ship is in international waters, federal law applies, and federal law classifies marijuana as an illegal drug. Additionally, cruise ships visit foreign ports with their own drug laws, many of which are far stricter than the U.S. Countries like the Bahamas, Jamaica, and various Caribbean islands have severe penalties for drug possession, including lengthy prison sentences. How do cruise lines detect drugs? Drug-sniffing dogs at embarkation, X-ray machines that can detect drug packaging, random cabin inspections, cruise lines reserve the right to search cabins, reports from crew or other passengers, and behavior that suggests intoxication or impairment. If drugs are found during initial screening at embarkation, you will be denied boarding immediately. The drugs will be confiscated, and depending on the quantity and jurisdiction, you may be arrested by port police. If drugs are discovered during the cruise, ship security will detain you, confiscate the drugs, and confine you to your cabin under guard until the next port. You'll then be handed over to local law enforcement. The consequences in foreign ports can be severe. In some countries, drug possession carries mandatory minimum sentences of 5 to 10 years in prison. You'll be prosecuted under that country's laws, not U.S. laws. The U.S. Embassy can provide limited assistance, but they cannot get you out of legal trouble caused by breaking local laws. A real case. A passenger on a Carnival cruise brought marijuana edibles aboard, thinking it was fine because he had a medical card from Colorado. Security dogs detected the drugs in his luggage during embarkation. He was denied boarding, the drugs were confiscated, and he was questioned by port police. He lost his entire cruise fare and was banned from Carnival. Another case. 2 passengers were caught using cocaine in their cabin on a Royal Caribbean cruise. They were detained, confined to the brig, the ship's jail, and handed over to authorities in Grand Cayman. They were arrested, prosecuted, and sentenced to 18 months in a Cayman Islands prison. Distribution or selling drugs on a cruise is treated even more severely. If you're caught selling or giving drugs to other passengers, you'll face federal trafficking charges which carry sentences of 10+ years in federal prison. What about prescription drugs? Legal prescription medications are allowed, but you must have them in their original, labeled containers with your name on them. Controlled substances like Adderall, Xanax, or pain medications require prescriptions. If you have a large quantity of prescription-controlled substances, carry a letter from your doctor explaining the medical necessity. This can prevent misunderstandings during security screening. Here's the bottom line. Do not bring or use illegal drugs on a cruise. Ever. The risks are enormous. Arrest, prison, massive legal fees, and destroyed lives. It's simply not worth it. If you need medications for legitimate health issues, bring proper prescriptions and documentation.
Mistake number 2. Sexual harassment or assault. This is one of the most serious offenses on a cruise ship. Sexual harassment or assault will result in immediate arrest, confinement, being handed over to the FBI, federal prosecution, and imprisonment. Cruise lines have zero tolerance. Sexual harassment includes unwanted touching, inappropriate comments or propositions, following or stalking someone, exposing yourself, making lewd gestures, taking non-consensual photos or videos, and any behavior that creates a hostile or threatening environment. Sexual assault includes any non-consensual sexual contact, rape, attempted rape, groping, forced kissing, and any sexual act without clear consent. These are serious crimes under federal and international law. The FBI has jurisdiction over crimes occurring on cruise ships with U.S. passengers or in U.S. waters. They actively investigate and prosecute these cases. What happens if you're accused? If someone reports sexual harassment or assault to ship security, you will be detained and questioned immediately. The ship has trained security personnel and investigative capabilities. If there's evidence supporting the accusation, witness statements, camera footage, physical evidence, you will be confined to the ship's brig, jail cell, under 24/7 guard for the remainder of the cruise. At the next U.S. port, you will be handed over to the FBI. If the ship is in international waters or a foreign port, you may be handed to local authorities or held until reaching a U.S. port. You will be arrested, charged, and prosecuted. Sexual assault on a cruise ship is a federal felony, carrying sentences of 10 to 30 years in federal prison, depending on the severity. Cruise lines cooperate fully with law enforcement. They preserve evidence, provide camera footage, collect witness statements, and conduct forensic investigations. A real case. A man on a Norwegian cruise sexually assaulted a woman he met at the bar. She reported it to security immediately. Security reviewed camera footage showing him following her, obtained witness statements, and collected physical evidence. He was confined to the brig and handed over to the FBI in Miami. He was charged with felony sexual assault and sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. Another case. A passenger was accused of groping several women in crowded areas like elevators and theaters. Multiple women reported him to security. Camera footage confirmed his identity. He was detained, confined, and arrested when the ship docked. He was charged with multiple counts of sexual assault and sentenced to 8 years. False accusations are taken seriously too. If you falsely accuse someone of sexual harassment or assault, you can be charged with filing a false report, which is also a crime. Investigations are thorough and evidence-based. Consent is paramount. Both parties must clearly and voluntarily consent to any sexual activity. Intoxication significantly complicates consent. If someone is highly intoxicated, they cannot legally consent. Crew-passenger relationships are heavily regulated. Cruise lines strictly prohibit crew members from engaging in romantic or sexual relationships with passengers. If a crew member violates this policy, they can be fired and banned from maritime employment. If you witness sexual harassment or assault, report it immediately to ship security. Don't ignore it. You could be helping someone in serious danger. Here's the bottom line. Respect everyone aboard. Understand and respect consent. Never engage in any form of sexual harassment or assault. If you're a victim, report it immediately. Cruise lines and law enforcement take these cases very seriously and will pursue justice.
Mistake number 1. Jumping or falling overboard. Man overboard. This is the number 1 most dangerous mistake. Deliberately jumping overboard or engaging in reckless behavior that results in falling overboard. It can result in death, and if you survive, you'll face massive fines, criminal charges, and lifetime bans. Deliberately jumping overboard is illegal, whether it's a dare, intoxication, showing off, or any other reason. Intentionally going overboard is considered reckless endangerment and is a federal crime. Why? It triggers a massive emergency response. The ship must execute a man overboard protocol, which includes immediately stopping or slowing the ship, deploying rescue boats and crew, alerting the Coast Guard, turning the ship around, conducting extensive search and rescue operations, and potentially delaying the cruise for all passengers. This costs the cruise line tens of thousands of dollars and creates serious safety risks for crew members conducting the rescue in potentially dangerous ocean conditions. If you survive after deliberately jumping overboard, here's what happens. You'll be rescued, if possible, given medical treatment, confined to the ship's brig, and handed over to authorities at the next port. You will be charged with federal crimes, including reckless endangerment, interfering with navigation, and potentially terrorism-related charges if your actions caused significant disruption. The cruise line will sue you for the costs of the rescue and operational delays. These lawsuits have resulted in judgments of $50,000 to $300,000 or more. You'll be banned from that cruise line and likely all major cruise lines for life. Your name will be on a shared no-sail list. A real case. A man on a Carnival cruise jumped off a balcony into the ocean as a stunt while intoxicated. The ship stopped, conducted a 2-hour search and rescue, and he was found and rescued. He was confined, arrested in New Orleans, charged with reckless endangerment and interference with navigation, fined $50,000, sued by Carnival for $100,000 in operational costs, and banned from cruising for life. He also faced criminal penalties, including probation. Accidental falls overboard are also extremely serious. Most happen due to intoxication and leaning over railings, sitting or standing on railings, never do this, rough seas causing loss of balance, horseplay near railings, and climbing between balconies. Absolutely prohibited. If you fall overboard accidentally, your survival chances depend on many factors: water temperature, sea conditions, how quickly the crew realizes you're missing, whether you were seen going overboard, and your swimming ability. The ocean is vast and dangerous. Hypothermia can set in within minutes in cold water. Drowning is a significant risk. Ships are massive and take a long time to stop and turn around. There have been cases where passengers were in the water for hours before being rescued. Some were never found. To prevent accidental falls, never sit, stand, or climb on railings or balcony furniture. Don't lean over railings, especially when intoxicated. Don't engage in horseplay near edges. Don't try to climb between balconies. This is illegal and highly dangerous. And always supervise children near railings and balconies. Balcony cabins have safety regulations. Don't move furniture to climb higher. Don't try to reach over to neighboring balconies. These actions can result in falls or fines if caught. If you witness someone going overboard, immediately alert crew by yelling, "Man overboard," and pointing to the location. Throwing life rings or flotation devices toward the person, and notifying a crew member or calling the emergency number. Every second counts in a man overboard situation. The faster the crew responds, the higher the survival chance. Here's the bottom line. Stay away from railings when intoxicated. Never engage in reckless behavior near the ship's edges. Never deliberately jump overboard. It's not funny, it's not brave, it's deadly, illegal, and will ruin your life if you survive.
And there you have it. 21 dangerous cruise mistakes that can get you fined, kicked off, arrested, or worse. I know some of these might have surprised you, and others might seem like common sense. But the reality is that thousands of passengers violate these rules every year, often without realizing the consequences until it's too late. Let's do a quick recap of the biggest takeaways. Never bring prohibited items like weapons, drugs, CBD products, or banned appliances. Always attend the mandatory muster drill. It's the law. Follow smoking rules strictly, and only smoke in designated areas. Respect dress codes in dining venues. Never throw anything overboard, not even a cigarette butt. Pay your onboard account on time. Supervise your children and keep them out of adults-only areas. Don't steal ship property or damage your cabin. Absolutely no illegal drugs, ever. Understand and respect consent. Sexual harassment and assault will land you in federal prison. And never, ever jump or fall overboard. It's deadly and illegal. Remember, the goal of these rules isn't to ruin your fun. It's to keep thousands of people safe in a confined environment in the middle of the ocean. When everyone follows the rules, cruises are incredibly safe and enjoyable experiences. If you're planning a cruise, do your homework. Read your cruise line's specific policies and rules. Check what's allowed and what's prohibited. Pack smart. Follow the rules. Be respectful to crew and fellow passengers. And most importantly, have an amazing time. Before you go, I want to hear from you. Have you ever witnessed someone making one of these mistakes on a cruise? Or maybe you've accidentally broken a rule yourself. Share your stories in the comments below. I read every single one. If this video helped you prepare for your cruise or avoid a costly mistake, please give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone you know who's planning a cruise. You could literally save them thousands of dollars and a ruined vacation. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss future travel tips, cruise guides, and destination recommendations. I post new videos every week to help you travel smarter, safer, and more affordably. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Now go have the cruise of a lifetime. Just don't make any of these 21 mistakes. Safe travels!